Hello, my name is Matthew, and this afternoon I read Butterball by Guy de Maupassant. Um, the French title is Boule de Suif. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly. And from what I understand, this is um, Maupassant's first short story that he published. Flaubert hailed it a masterpiece, and it's a wartime story. Um, and it's one of the types of stories that I especially like, in that it's a microcosm. So what I mean by that is, the setup of the story is that the Prussians have invaded France. They've taken over the town. The soldiers are in people's homes, spending the night, eating their food, and there's a group of people from all the different um, like strata of society that are going to be getting into this carriage and escaping. And so some of the people are nobility. You have people that are well-to-do, a merchant. There's two nuns. There's a whole cast of characters that um, represent different parts of French society at the time. And one of them is a prostitute, and she's described as chubby and voluptuous. She has a pretty face, but she has creases in her fingers that look like little sausages. So she's that's why the story is named Butterball, because it's the nickname of this prostitute. And even the narrator pretty much exclusively only refers to her as Butterball. And there's an irony that um, does a really good job, um, I guess, juxtaposing something that's a little crude and funny to a story that is extremely serious, and um, the characters are acting monstrously. And while terrible things are happening, and there's judgment hailing down on this poor girl and people that are in an incredibly dire situation, offhandedly, when she comes up, it goes, well, there's Butterball. It's jarring. So they're on this carriage. There's a whole cast of people. The prostitute is sitting next to the nuns, and it's the dead of winter, and they're trying to get to this other town. And instead of being a few hours, now it's 14 hours, and it's the middle of the night, and they're getting stuck in the snow, and they have to stop to rest the horses. And no one remembered to bring provisions. So they're out in the middle of nowhere, and there's no food. Rich people that couldn't even imagine are now hungry. Um, so we have Butterball, who pulls out this basket. She has two whole chickens, and like an array, a whole spread that could fill a dinner table. And so she just starts eating away. And there's a comment made, and she goes, "Oh, I have enough for everybody, so we can share." And so the nuns are kind of quietly eating chicken wings, and one of the women who's from nobility, takes her thigh reluctantly, things like that. And they basically eat all of her food, and um, begrudgingly are thankful. The prostitute, Butterball, fed everyone for the night. So now they get to town, and they find that the Prussian soldiers are there already also. There's soldiers waiting outside the carriage door, and they take them all out of the carriage, and they put them in this inn, that's being guarded by soldiers. One of the soldiers asks for Butterball, and they have a private conversation. She comes back and she's red in the face and angry and humiliated. Someone there asks what happened. She says, I'm not even going to say. So the next day, when they're getting ready to leave, the German soldier comes out and says, "You're not leaving." And that's an order. No one is leaving. And the rich nobility and the well-to-do merchants and all the different characters, they're having arguments and fights and interesting discussions about politics and war, but basically they just want to carry on, and they don't know what's happening at the moment. Finally, someone comes out and says to Butterball, have you changed your mind? In front of everybody. And they go, well, what's going on? And finally it's revealed that the German soldier wants to sleep with Butterball, and she won't do it. It's literally sleeping with the enemy. And at first they take her side and they go, well, that's a hard thing, but you made the right decision. But as they start talking in private and thinking about it and having just really mean-spirited, judgmental, harsh things to say about this poor girl, basically saying, what's it matter to her? She's slept with everyone in town. She's putting all of us in danger. The first thing that they do is that they go to the German soldier and say, why don't you just keep her and let us go? So they're just going to give her to the enemy. And the German soldier says no. She needs to make her decision. Finally, she acquiesces. And she does it. She sleeps with the enemy. The next morning, they all get back into the carriage. And they resent her for it. They're back to going like, that's a prostitute for you. Butterball, sleeping with the enemy, even though she just saved them, and she's crying, holding everything in. I don't know if I can find it in time, but it's just so tragic. And the ending, let's see. So they're in the carriage, and now someone else has a basket of food, and they're passing it along, and just eating it and enjoying themselves. They don't even offer it to her. So it says, no one looked at her or gave her a second thought. She felt as if she were drowning in the disdain of these virtuous villains who had first sacrificed her, then rejected her, as if she were unclean and useless. Then she thought back to her large basket full of all the delicious things they had greedily devoured, her 2 chickens shining, her pâtés, her pears, her 4 bottles of Bordeaux wine, and her fury suddenly gave way, like a rope pulled too tightly that finally snaps, and she felt herself on the verge of tears. And they're on their way, munching along, eating. The poor girl, Butterball, is crying in the corner of the carriage. And we have one of the people who decides to sing a song. Then Cornudet, who was digesting his eggs, stretched his long legs out under his seat opposite, leaned back, crossed his arms, smiled like a man, and began whistling a song. And it's a French revolutionary victory song. And the translation of the song: drive on, sacred love of the country, support our avenging arms. Liberty, cherished liberty, join the struggle with your defenders. He's whistling this. And Butterball continued to cry, and every now and then a sob she could not hold back was heard between two lines of the song in the darkness. Powerful. I mean, it's like a monster movie, but all the monsters are the people you're surrounded with. It's not only the enemy, but it's your um, fellow citizens, the people that you'll share food with. Terrible, tragic. So that's Butterball by Guy de Maupassant, and translated by Sandra Smith. So let me know if you've read it, and leave a comment if you would like, and thank you for watching.